Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday's Talking Reds. My name is Mo Stewart. Alongside me, we've got Ian Ryan. We are live right now on YouTube for you all. And today, let me mute that. And today, we will be talking about centre backs, short and sweet centre back chat. We're going to be doing a bit on someone who may well be leaving. We're going to be doing a bit on someone who's definitely coming in. And we're going to do a little bit on someone who has left and may well be coming back. But start top of the shop. The big man himself, the Bolton Baresi, the divine headband, Nat Phillips. Now, there has been a lot of talk about teams are interested in buying Nat Phillips. The latest news from both Goal and Chris Bascombe saying that Burnley are the ones in the driving seat at the moment. But there are 4 teams interested, named so far: Brighton, Southampton, and Newcastle. Now, the interesting thing for me about this, Ian, is that Liverpool are noted by Chris Bascombe as being reluctant sellers, but they've also named their price.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is this one of those situations where we're going to be looking at who we can get the most money for, and that's going to be our priority for sales, or do you think that this is one that's a done deal already? He's on his way out.
I think he will leave for a number of reasons, and I think it's important to say when you're talking about Nat Phillips, you have got to talk about how well he did for Liverpool last season. That doesn't mean he's good enough long term to kind of sustain that or keep his place in the first team, for instance. And I think most people have accepted that he would only be back up, and it may end up being, if he did stick around, he'd be like 5th choice, which if you're 24 years of age, you can absolutely understand why you might look at alternatives, because he's had a taste of it now, Mo. He's been given that taste of first team football, and for his own development at 24, he probably needs to go and play somewhere, and he's not guaranteed that at Liverpool. And as I say, he did great for us in the main last season when we really needed him. He stepped up, and as I say, his performance levels from when he played at Newcastle away, I was really worried about him, because his on-the-ball stuff just looks so far below the level you need in terms of what we try and do with our centre-halves in particular. But he grew. And obviously he's working with the best manager in the world, certainly one of them. And I think you've seen that journey where confidence grew, his performance levels were pretty good, they're pretty consistent from then on in. And obviously, he's got different partnerships as well, because he's got the lad Williams next to him, at times there was centre midfielders next to him, at times Kabak was next to him. So if you throw all that into the mix, you have to say he did very, very well. But I think for his journey, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that Klopp has never been one to shy away from the bigger picture for the player as well as for the club. And it's a tough situation because he has shown he can do a job for this club. And I worry that it's one of those situations where if you want him to do a job for a short period of time, he can do it. If you're asking him to do that same job for a longer period of time, it becomes a bit difficult. And a little bit like Fabinho's centre-half scenario, where it's like, if you're asking him to do it for a month, so that's great. If you want him to do it for a season, maybe less so.
Well, I mean, let's have it right. In an ideal world, Jurgen Klopp wants his centre-half to go basically one-on-one in terms of being able to defend one-on-one. And that may mean getting dragged out wide at times. Nat Phillips does not want to be getting dragged out wide. He's got a certain skill set. And I think some of those teams that he may go to, you can see how he would fit perfectly for those teams. And as I say, he did great for us. And that'll never be forgotten, because we really needed someone to step up at that time, and he did that. And it wasn't just the defensive displays. You think about the goal against Burnley as well. I mean, he's had some 6 months, and I think for him now it just makes all the sense to maybe look at first team football somewhere.
Okay, well, we are live on YouTube, so we will be taking some of your insights into the show. And the question I want to put to you all, though, I mentioned those options: Burnley currently in the driving seat, Brighton, Southampton, and Newcastle. Where do you think Nat will end up? Where do you think is best for him to end up? I think it's interesting what you say about the difference between playing as a Jurgen Klopp defender and playing as a defender for maybe a Sean Dyche or a Steve Bruce. Over the course of his Liverpool career, though, he had plenty of opportunity to showcase all the different things he can do. So we'll have to watch this space. We are going to be rattling through this show, so we're moving on to the next centre-back on our lineup, which is one who's definitely in the building, Ibrahima Konate. And I'm pleased to say, Ian, he's been celebrating that fact. I don't know if you've all seen out there on socials, but he's put out a really cute video with all of his family where they're playing You Never Walk Alone. He's got the Liverpool flag. He's even got the pyro going round. He's going to fit right in, isn't he?
I mean, I was banging into it, I have to say. I mean, as a fan, you just want to see someone look like they're enjoying it and look like they're made up to be here. And he looked absolutely thrilled, to be honest. And I don't know where he was. Where was the gaff? Because it looked fancy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if
wasn't by man, I know that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a part of Formby that we don't get to see, or whether or not he's on his holidays, or even back home in France. But wherever he is living large, and he's looking forward to it. I mean, he did play a little bit for the French team, the under-21s Euros earlier on this summer. He was actually their captain, even though it didn't go well for them in the quarterfinals. He has had a chance to have some rest though this summer.
Yeah,
he's not one rehabilitating from an injury. So obviously we've got pre-season coming. That's going to be our first chance to see him. How confident are you he might be able to hit the ground running?
Well, I think it may be a case of he'll have to be honest, because I think, and we don't know this, and we touched on it a little bit on yesterday's gutter, which I know is out there now. But you don't know what Van Dijk and Matip and Gomez are coming back like, do you? You know, it may take them a little bit of time, so it may be a case of Konaté's got to go from day one, and he'll have that pre-season. I think they're back on the July the 12th, I think it is, so there's plenty of time for him to start to acclimatise. But I am interested to see where the other lads are, because we haven't got any of that data, have we? We don't know where Van Dijk is on his journey. We think he's pretty close, but until you start seeing him in pre-season, you're a little bit like, well, I just want to see them in pre-season. I want to see them on the pitch and see what they're looking like. And I think the other thing you've got to be conscious of, long-term injuries, you've got to wrap them in cotton wool a little bit, because we know there's a likelihood that they may get other niggles. And you've seen it before, Mo, where centre-backs, I always reference Laporte because it's a recent one, you could see him picking up other injuries because he's overcompensating, he's worrying about the knee, and he's picking up all the little niggles, and you think, well, Liverpool have got to be thinking about that, they've got to be mindful of that. And that's where, they've bought Konaté, if they do let Phillips go, if they do send Reece Williams out on loan, is there an argument to say they might need one more?
It's funny you should say that. It's very
See what I did there?
say that, mate. You're on fire today.
It's not my first time, my friend.
Because one of the guys who has gone, Ozan Kabak, who we didn't take up the option on, apparently the rumours are that we might be able to get him at a significantly lower price. Now, Schalke were hoping that he would star in the Euros and he would start a bidding war with lots of teams in for him. Unfortunately for him and for Turkey, he didn't play a minute and Turkey got beat 3 times. So Schalke are now fretting. They don't think they're going to be able to pay his wages in the Bundesliga too. I mean, they're definitely not going to be able to pay his wages. They're probably going to need to look at him, to moving him on to be able to reshape their squad. But the fact is that they now look like they're in a bit more of a desperate situation. Now, there are other teams sniffing around, Leicester, Crystal Palace, but I mean, he had fun with us, didn't he?
He did. You know what? I saw at times him get a little bit of stick, and I felt he did okay, for all the reasons I mentioned before, in terms of, imagine how difficult it was as a 21-year-old coming into a new country and having to perform in what was half a Liverpool team at times, you know what I mean? They were completely different centre-back partnerships to what you'd normally be walking in and playing with. So I think he did all right, and I think he maybe surprised one or two with just some of his performance levels. It wasn't perfect, and there was times where you could see maybe there's things to improve on. But he's 21, Mo. And if you look at great centre-halves who are great centre-halves now, what would he do at 21? Lots of them weren't at that level, do you know what I mean? It does take a little bit of time. It's a position where you tend to grow in and get better as you get a little bit older, a little bit more experienced. The only thing I would say, I noticed Jimmy Pearce put something up before because someone asked him specifically on Kabak and he said the ship had probably sailed. So I don't know whether it's likely to happen. But if you're talking about getting him for half the fee, it was 18 million initially, wasn't it? I mean, there's definitely an argument there.
I mean, it's a difficult one because you do wonder whether feels like we've already spurned him, so that might harm his chances. And maybe he thinks he wants to go and start fresh, maybe prove Liverpool wrong for turning him down. But then I still think there's the Virgil factor. He really does love him some Virgil, like we all do, obviously. And the idea of being able to play alongside him was a big, big plus for him coming to us. And I believe Virgil was quite instrumental in keeping him going while he was at the club. So I think if you put a little message in and send him a little text, a little DM, You might find him come back.
I mean, it'll be a blow if we don't get to sing that song as well. Because he had a belting song, didn't he? So if you don't get to sing that's a little bit of a blow. But I think the other thing, Liverpool were wishing him well before all that. Even though he wasn't playing, he was sending that message, weren't he? Which seemed a little bit strange, given he wasn't at the club anymore. You know, going into the Euro games and kind of giving him good luck messages and stuff, which, seemed a little bit odd, given he'd kind of left the club. But from what Piers says, it looks like it's got no legs, unfortunately.
That is a shame. I'm hearing from some of you in the comments that you're struggling to hear me, so I might need to just talk a little bit louder, so you might have to deal with that for a little bit here. I'm sorry, I should have bought you some earplugs. Okay, in fact, we're going to go to an advert, see if we can try and sort it out. So, come back for us in about 30 seconds to a minute's time.
Download the Anfield Wrap's free app as we share the experience of supporting Liverpool FC from the heart of the city through podcasts, videos and writing. With award-winning matchday build-up, immediate reaction, exclusive interviews, documentaries on Liverpool past and present, we follow the Reds home, away, Europe and beyond. Download the Anfield Wrap's app now.
And we're back. Apologies for that little stop. We weren't really able to find out exactly what's going on, so you're just going to have me shouting for the last 2 minutes. But it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be shouting about what you've said to our questions about Nat Phillips. Now, I asked you where you thought he would go, and most people seem to be talking about the money. So let's go with what I said and talk about the money. Paul Laverty seems to think 12 million is a little light for a player who's got Champions League experience, and Evans seems to agree with him. Charles Johnson says Phillips will go for 5 mil before the season, so 12 mil is more than generous. Ian, where are you on this one?
I think, the figures I've seen bandied around were somewhere between 10 and 15, and I think if they end up getting 15 for him, that's a more than decent return, to be honest. Because I think it's still difficult to really know what his level is, and we've seen a little bit. Mo, and as I said before, he's performed really, really well. So I think if he gets somewhere around the 12 to 15 mark, that's pretty decent business for the Reds.
No, I agree. Especially, we don't know exactly who we are potentially bringing in. We have heard a lot about the fact that we're going to need to sell to buy. So I think in terms of getting money in up front, there may well be some add-ons that we can do, so they kind of deal. Do you expect there to be some kind of sell-on fee as well involved? It's something that happens a lot more.
It's kind of the done thing now, isn't it, to put some kind of clause in there? So maybe. It wouldn't surprise you, would it? To be honest with you, he's all over that kind of thing. So possibly so. I think the fact that you've got 3 or 4 clubs, by the looks of it, interested is only going to help, isn't it? It's going to hopefully drive the fee up a little bit and maybe allow you to kind of weave in a clause or two, because you've got so many clubs at the table, or it seems like that. Fair play to the lad. I think the other thing to mention is as well, he's probably one of the lowest paid players at Liverpool. He's put on a really, really low contract compared to his teammates. So the opportunity to go and get Premier League pay at 24, he's probably been waiting for this moment. So you can't blame him at all. And as you said, Mo, because of the kind of manager Jurgen Klopp is, you would expect him to think about the player in this case and think, well, we don't want to hold him back because he's only going to play the odd minute or two for us. He'll be 5th choice essentially, getting the League Cup games, maybe if there's another space of injuries, but other than that, it will be the odd game. So for his own development and for his own kind of personal, go make some money while he can, lad. It makes all the sense.
Yeah, I think so. Ideal world for me, we're able to keep hold of him until the others are able to prove their fitness in pre-season, build up a bit of a bidding war between these other teams. Then he goes to a great Premier League team, has a great Premier League career, kind of like Konaté maybe, consider down that path, maybe end up even in the England squad in the future. Here's hoping that it works out brilliantly for all parties. Now, I'll say again, I apologise for the fact we've been having some difficulties with my sound. We have tried to fix it. It doesn't seem to have been fixed. So I guess you're just going to have to turn it all up, because I don't really want to shout in this guy's face. Because, look at him. But before we go, I do want to tell you that we've got loads of fantastic new shows out and about on the Anfield Wrap. We had one out yesterday, a free show. And if you wanted to join the Anfield Wrap via YouTube, you have access to some members-only videos, the kind of stuff that our subscribers normally get. We've given it to you as well. There is all some information about that below me here on the screen. I think that should probably do it. We are short and sharp this week. Ian, thank you very much for joining me. And you all too.